Welcome back to Intel Within Podcast. As always, thank you for listening. We appreciate your support so much. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notifications so you know when a new episode drops. Tonight, I'm going to start us off with a poem that we feel truly encompasses some of the time and trauma military members can experience during their time in. This poem is titled Black Bracelets, and it's taken from a book titled Rock Eater, written by Marine veteran Mason Rodriguez. You hit the fleet as a stupid boot, and you want to be salty like seniors. You want long hair and tattoos and caffeine dependence and nicotine addiction and black bracelets, because they have all that until you get all that. Tonight we have a special guest. This guest is a two-time Purple Heart recipient, a veteran of the Iraq War, and a member of the Marine unit known as the Magnificent Bastards. This legendary group of Marines has been involved in some of the most intense and storied American battles in modern military history, and their courage and sacrifice have earned them a reputation as one of the most elite fighting outfits in the world. The Magnificent Bastards have been involved in our nation's battles as far back as 1914 during an expedition into Mexico under General John J. Pershing. Then, in 1916, the 2-4 deployed and put down a civil war that had erupted in the Dominican Republic. In Vietnam, the Magnificent Bastards fought in many notable battles during the conflict, including the Battle of Hue City. In this intense battle, the Magnificent Bastards fought house to house against the North Vietnamese, earning a reputation for their fierce determination and bravery. Moreover, the Magnificent Bastards host 6 recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor for actions during the Vietnam War. Those honorees are Lance Corporal Joe Paul, Captain Howard Lee, Sergeant Paul Foster, Lance Corporal Jed Barker, Captain James Livingston, and Captain Jay Vargas. You could find the Bastards at Guadalcanal during World War II, in Iraq during Operation Desert Storm, and in Ramadi, Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom. And there in Ramadi, Iraq's most dangerous city, is where the Magnificent Bastards, across multiple rotations, took the highest number of casualties of any unit from 2004 to 2007. The Magnificent Bastards are a true testament to the bravery and dedication of our armed forces, and their legacy continues to inspire future generations of Marines. Tonight, we have an absolute honor of introducing one of those Magnificent Bastards and have him tell his story firsthand. Please welcome to the show, Kevin Gaeden. Kevin?
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you.
So, for those of you that don't know, this is my brother-in-law. When I first met him, a backstory, extremely welcoming, open arms. The first time I ever met him, literally stayed at his house. Treated me literally like a little brother. And it's, our relationship is just boom ever since. And pretty much known him for the past 5 years, going on 6. And to know a little bit about his story, but not the whole story. And so, when we started this podcast, we wanted to do something, good with it. So Gresham and I are like, hey, we need to have like some really good guests. And first person that I thought of 5 minutes down the road, no question. So definitely appreciate you coming on, man. It's not easy, so it's going to be nice to hear your story. So every podcast, when we begin, you guys know we do a dad joke. So we're going to try to see.
Has Kevin heard this one?
No, this is this is the new one. I got quite a few, but let me see which one I want.
All right. I'm ready.
Let me see. Okay, all right. You like golf, right?
Oh yeah,
I know you like golf. All right, let's do this one. Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing? Let's see if he knows.
In case they get a hole in one.
I was literally about to say that. Hell yeah!
I'm not even kidding. That is it. Have you heard it? Have you seen it?
That's perfect.
It, but I mean, that's
all
right. That clicks with.
Okay, all right. We'll do another one because that was good. What did one ocean say to the other ocean? See if he can go 2 for 2. What do you think, Gresham?
Nothing. It just waved hello.
It just waved.
Oh.
Okay. All right. You guys are too good with this. Okay.
Yeah.
So this episode, like you guys heard from Gresham, is going to be Kevin's story. And to touch base again, we appreciate you guys following, listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications. We're across 7 platforms now on social media. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Twitter, we have Apple Podcasts, we have Google Podcasts. Well, I'm forgetting one. What's the other one? We have
You said
7.
Spotify?
Spotify.
Say Spotify?
Yeah. I don't know if I did. If I did, whatever. All right, we're there.
We on there.
Yeah.
We
So
on
we're
there.
on all of them. If you guys want to watch or listen, we're there. All right? And it helps us out. We have, just for us to keep pushing and keep the episodes coming. Okay. So first question, going to kind of break the ice with this one. This is from one of the listeners. One of the listeners just so happens to be your sister. And her question to
I had
you
a feeling.
is,
Yeah.
her question to you is, what is a woman?
What is a woman? Oh my God! She would come up with something like this.
So you don't have to answer, but it was just a little icebreaker.
I don't think
a
any of us
woman.
can answer that question.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm gonna be in a doghouse
Plead the
for this one, right?
Plead the fifth if you want.
fifth.
Plead the fifth. Okay.
All I know is they're stronger than men,
There we go.
for sure.
There we go.
All right.
There we
Let's,
go.
okay.
That's
So
what manly.
let's go here.
Safe answer. I like it.
All right. So let's see. One of the questions that I have written down here. Let's go into it. And where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? So born in Vallejo, Kaiser, Vallejo, California.
For those of you that don't know, that's Northern California, just in case so you want to take a look. So
All my V-Town people watching. Born in Vallejo, kind of raised up there as a kid. That is when I was really young, but I do remember, I think it was CPS that picked us up, me and my sister. And family involved with drugs, so we were out playing in the streets. No one watching us. We were really young, so that's when they, cops were called.
just kind of like no boundaries, just kind of just doing it.
Yeah, and I think the police, when they checked in the house, it was someone that was OD'd on,
Got it.
some sort of drug. Again, I was really
Damn.
young, so I can't really remember. But, I do remember the first foster family we had. I know we had a couple. I think we were separated from our brother. I had
So
a younger
how-
brother and younger sister, older brother.
Okay, so what age did that happen when you got like essentially picked up by them, and to when you went into your first family, as to when you kind of got away from it? If you
That I don't remember.
Okay.
I mean, I'm horrible with ages with kids, but I think
6.
maybe 5 or 6.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know it was before elementary, I believe,
Okay.
middle school. So
Okay.
in between that age.
Okay.
you know. And besides, I wasn't with the foster family for that long. Eventually, my mom got sober, fought for us in court, got us back.
That's great.
And then we lived, I believe Napa was next. That's where I went to elementary.
Okay.
And then I believe it was Fairfield, is where I did middle school and high school.
So never left Northern California, just
No.
stayed in this little tripod area.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Everything within a 15 to 30-minute drive.
Right.
So
What you got, Gresham?
So obviously, growing up a little rough, and that's okay. Not
Definitely.
everybody had that upbringing, right? So what would you say is something maybe that you learned at a young age as an adult that has carried over maybe that lesson with you?
well, the main thing was, stay away from drugs, alcohol.
For sure.
I mean, I ended up, of course, like any adult, curious, or especially if you're a Marine, that's one of the things we're good at.
Yeah.
Drinking, fucking, and fighting. So I had to get good at that.
Crayons.
But yeah, crayons too.
Jeez.
Yeah, when we get the munchies.
Yeah.
But it's same with just drugs and just living that lifestyle. So and that's where I got really close with my sister, right? Because it was mainly us.
I can imagine.
But not having a father figure, that I always told myself that's nothing I want to, if I did ever have kids, um, always be there for the kids because I always thought it was very important.
It's huge, man. They say I don't know the percentage. I don't want to say it because I don't want people to fact check me, but I want to say it's upwards of like 70% of families that like don't have a father figure. I mean,
Is
for
that in
lack
the
of better,
U.S.?
I want to say it was from
Wow.
the video that I saw of him kind of like getting like a consensus of everything. And man, I could have sworn that's what he said. It was like upwards of 70%. It could be across the globe, but I want to say it was like, maybe United or across the United States. But they were saying that it was like upwards of 70% that don't have a
Right.
dad. Like the households essentially, for lack of better terms, like crumble. They don't have like that backbone and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it all depends on where you live, if you get, but I really think it's up to the individual, right?
Sure.
It ain't
No doubt.
easy. But I think the main thing is my mom tried to get that mentor or that male figure in our life.
Okay.
I'm not saying she was dating, guys, but just
Yeah, no doubt.
what's that boys club, the boys club,
Boys and
Yeah.
Girls Club?
Yep. Yep.
boys and
Boys and
girls
Girls
club.
Club.
Yeah,
Yep.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
I remember going to that. And I was bullied, all through, elementary, middle, and and high school. So it was kind of, having those mentors or big brothers that my mom tried to hook me up with, it did help. So, I've always wanted to do that. I did have a job in Napa at a middle school, and a lot of those kids didn't have fathers. So I felt like I was trying to be that mentor for those kids too. So yeah, just trying to be honest, wrap it all up is just I didn't want to be like, my father or, at the time, anyone that was involved with, alcohol or drugs. So just being
No
a good
doubt.
dude.
So essentially quick in and out the CPS and going up. You said you're that was going into elementary or middle school? Middle school, right?
It was before elementary because I remember that's when we were living with my mom.
Okay. So I guess like fast forward through like middle school, did you play any sports growing up? Like were you like attending anything? Like how did that go?
That's also, yeah, I think that was also a contributor too. My mom always wanted to make sure we were, staying busy.
Active, doing something.
Exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of those sports, comes with discipline, right?
100%.
And those
Teamwork.
coaches,
Yeah.
exactly. Teamwork. And those coaches could be mentors for kids,
Yeah.
without fathers. So,
Dude, absolutely.
you name it, T-ball, football, basketball, you name it. And I think that's where I got a lot of my competitiveness too. So,
Man,
but
I'll
yeah,
tell you what.
just staying active, man. Just be active. That's key.
It's just that natural testosterone, being a male,
Yeah.
and just being competitive, and then like it's like once you get like that taste of playing a sport, and like okay, cool, I want to be better than that guy.
Exactly.
Like
For sure.
I know essentially as cliche it is, there's no I in team, but in the same sense, like you still want to be that top dog.
No,
Even if it is a team, right? I played basketball all the way up until college. Like I still wanted to make sure I performed, because I know that I could count on my team to follow with, or I can help them,
Right.
So
I think that's the point, man, is everybody is competing to get to that level. And obviously there's going to be that one person at the top, but when everybody's trying to get there, that's what makes everybody better,
Yeah. So played some sports. What was your favorite sport you got into? Most memorable?
Oh, memorable would have to be football.
Football? Okay.
Um,
I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna take you for a baseball guy.
Yeah, I didn't do too good at baseball.
Really?
I was a bench warmer.
How did football go? What position?
Football was good. Started off as a running back, but I was really small.
My guy.
Really small, 5'6", 145. So.
I'm 5'6", but I'm not taking offense.
Well,
You short, bro.
You want your running backs, short, but not the way that was at. I think one game I remember it was a crucial. I mean, it's probably one of the 2 games we won out of the season, but we were winning, and I fumbled the ball, and that was the last time I did running back. So then they moved me to safety, because I was just like,
Quick.
I didn't really care about hitting.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Made a couple good hits on special teams, so that's when we moved me to safety.
Hell yeah.
So
Good. So if you're gonna play safety, you gotta know how to pop. That's for sure.
I mean,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Gosh, let's see. Answered through that, and then, so middle school, the sports. What high school did you go to?
Army
What was it?
Army High.
Armio? Okay.
Yeah.
So Armio High. So Armio High, did you still continue sports and athletics there, or because you joined the military right out of high school?
Yeah, it was actually.
Okay. So lead us up into joining the military. What, like sports? How did it go? Did you see a commercial with them fighting the dragon, the famous one?
Oh,
what got you to join the Marines?
Okay, that's so like I said, my mom, she wanted us to keep us busy.
Okay.
So did baseball, track, cross country, all that, football, and then I kind of had it. I think I was done with football. And that was after my sophomore year. I was kind of like done with it. My grades weren't too great. So my mom got me into the Fairfield Police Department as a cadet, and that's where I did, I think, 2.5 years there, just as a volunteer.
Okay.
I really wanted to be a cop. A lot of those officers, even the female officers, my supervisors, they were mentors. And
shit, not nowadays though, dude. Nobody wants to be a cop now. I feel like
yeah,
that's another story.
It's sad, yeah. So that was what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be a cop, and then Gresham, my supervisor. Yeah. She was awesome, man. I believe she's the head honcho in Contra Costa. I gotta double check on that, but yeah, she told me. Yeah, fourth cousin. Yeah. But she told me that for a good background would be the military. So
I still believe in that.
Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what led me to go to the Fairfield Mall. They had their little recruiting center there. Or did. I don't think they have it now.
So is that the one
by was actually in
Dave and Buster's? Because they have that one still. Like, how Dave and Buster's, like if you're pulling in from this side and you go down Dave and Buster's on the lower level.
Yep.
If you go up on the next upper level parking lot and you go in there and you go straight, they still have that recruiting area there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Dude, I walked in there the other day taking our oldest to jiu-jitsu, and they had kids in there doing push-ups.
Really?
Yeah, man, it was cool.
Yeah, I mean that was an amazing time in my life too. Yeah, definitely a lot of good role models. So I was in their their DEP program. I don't know what it stands for.
Delayed entry program.
Delayed entry program.
There you go. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I was at this shit for like 4 months.
Really? Yeah. It was. I mean, my mom worked nights, so during the day after school, I would just walk to the mall because Army was not too far, and just watch war movies with the recruiters. And then eventually, we would have competitions against other recruiting centers.
Hooked ever since.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. And then when I graduated high school, because I turned 18 on March of 2003, and our graduation was June and 10th or 8th, like that. Mm-hmm. And 2 days later, I was in boot camp.
That's quick.
Yeah. So he was actually at my graduation, my recruiter.
Your recruiter?
And that's like, hey, time to go.
Yeah. So
take my hand.
Yeah, I got you. So joining in 2003, reverse 2 years, 9/11. Yep. Was that anything that had like a significant like thought process in the back as to like, man, I'm gonna wait till I'm 18, or was it just kind of like, or was that like not part of the choice or decision for you to go and join?
I don't think it was a decision.
Okay.
It wasn't something that I was like, oh, this is why I'm going.
Sure.
Mainly was, like I said, background, and then watching, I mean, all the war movies,
Yep.
And the recruiters. I mean, they were so motivating. You know, it motivated me. So, and being, you know, the reason why I picked the Marine Corps was because it's the best, and that's, you know, playing all the sports. I want to be
Sure.
the best.
We'll
So-
let that one go. We'll let that one go.
Yeah. But yeah,
Do you have a specific job that you wanted to do, or you just wanted to go in and just be like freaking guns blazing, running, running, gunning?
I was so young, man. I didn't really care.
Okay.
Plus, I scored so low on my ASVAB that I didn't really have a choice.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Single digits, man.
Yeah.
Golly.
So you a couple times you've talked about role models, right? And you said you had some role models that were coaches, and then I think you said some of your recruiters were role models. Is there anybody in particular that sticks out to you that, like, in your head you can say, like, this person's a role model to you?
Yeah, I actually friends with him on Facebook and everything. Mr. Lopez out there, if you're watching. Yeah, man, he was my recruiter. Sorry, if I forget your rank, man. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that, you know, just what a male figure at that age, you know, just take extra time. And I, you know, just, you know, he would take us all out, you know, we play football, just all stuff a young man wants to do, right?
Mm-hmm. So, like you said earlier, essentially like not having like a father figure. Did he kind of like portray that for you in that sense, or was that not anything that you were thinking about, or?
No, but you know, like I said, at my age, I looked up to any kind of male figure.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't really matter.
Okay.
To be honest, I just wanted the attention from a male. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No humble, but
Yeah.
No,
Not
man,
like-
I one of my football coaches when I was growing up, I'm a military brat, and I went to high school in Germany. My dad was stationed there. And this is 01 to 05, right? So a lot of my friends, their dads, they're deploying, and they're gone. And Coach Oliver, I don't know if he'll ever hear this, but he's an Army. I think he was a staff sergeant at the time, Army staff sergeant. But dude, that guy reached out to me, and my dad was gone a lot. So many other guys that were on that football team for every year that we were there, whether you're JV, varsity, like when I think about mentor high school, like he's somebody that I think about all the time. I remember specific conversations, man. The dude smacking my helmet and be like, dude, that was fucking great, man. Like just fire me up, and
Those were the
so,
days.
dude, role model, dude, yeah. And no, it's an integral part of society. I think having other people that are that in loco parentis, right? In having somebody that's an adult to give you that attention when you're young is a big thing. Like it takes a community kind of thing.
All right, so gonna take just like a little break in the questions because I forgot. Guests on the show get a gift. So
They do.
we got a gift in here. Don't shake it, but go ahead and open that up.
Don't feed
And,
it after midnight.
Don't. Yeah, so we got a little something for him. So yeah, it is in case anybody's wondering, it's pewter glass, which is I don't know how cool or not cool that is, but it's got the it's got the Marine logo on there.
Globe and anchored.
Yeah, right. Is it stamped on the inside? Okay, there it is.
No.
Okay, no, yeah. So nice.
Is the globe and anchor pewter? Is that what it is?
Ooh, I think this is. Yeah, I think this might be. Sorry, this
That looks really nice.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
of course challenge coin, dude. 2-4. Yeah, 2-4, baby.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank
Dude,
you
that's
so
Do you
much.
have one of those?
I don't.
Even better. Because I'm like, oh, he's got to have one. He's from the unit. They probably, whatever the case may be. But
No, man,
cool.
we
very
really
awesome.
appreciate you coming on with
Wow.
us.
Yeah, man.
Sincerely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hell yeah.
Means a lot.
Okay, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Christina helped me with this question. She gave me a couple questions. So how did the nickname Rage Cage come about?
Oh shit. Yeah. So
Dude. Hell yeah.
Rage Cage. So that's for my buddies in my unit. I did inherit from my father, a little bit
Okay.
of a temper. So there's the rage, right?
Okay.
And Kevin, it's from one of my favorite movies, Tenacious D, Pick of Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh
Cage,
yeah.
Cage with a K. So for Kevin,
Okay. Just put it together.
yeah, Rage Cage. It rhymed.
Yeah. No, it
It's a pretty
definitely
sick
flows.
nickname.
Thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
So that's how the nickname came, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna ask another question, then I'm gonna let Gresham ask some questions here, so I can let my phone take a break. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, let's jump into your greatest military memory experience.
Ooh, the greatest.
Yeah, whatever you was at your top.
Wow, I've had so many.
Hey, is that coffee?
Bro,
Oh, really?
I'm here.
Greatest.
Greatest, best, whatever you.
Probably it was when we were on the 31st Mu, I believe it was. Uh, and we were doing a deployment to Japan and all that. And we were part of my platoon was the helicopter platoon. So we had CH-46 46s that we rode around in. And we would deploy, out of the fast rope.
How long were you in
Um,
Japan for?
I think we did a deployment there for 8 months.
Oh shit! How was
Was
that?
that a Iwakuni or
Okinawa.
okay?
Yes,
You guys at
yeah.
Camp Iwakuni or
To be honest, I do not remember.
just wondering.
Yeah. But yeah, flying around on that and training, fast roping on top of buildings. We got lucky enough to do we did a scenario with dummy rounds that a pirate took over because back then, I think 2005 is when pirates started getting big and
Yep.
taking over,
Ships,
freight and all that. Yeah. So we did some training on that. We fast rope onto a ship, clear it out.
Dope.
Did you enjoy that?
I don't know if you guys ever. Oh, I loved it because at the end, the crew made us a meal and it was memorable. It was definitely better than what we were getting on the ship. But yeah, that was probably one of the best. I mean, best views, flying over the ocean and just
Okay.
fast roping. It was awesome. I don't know if you guys in the Air Force trained with the 9mm with the blue tips.
Beretta. Oh, blue tips. Did you?
So it was like pretty much like a paintball gun. Yeah.
Yep.
For
Yeah.
the M16,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
Yep.
So they what they
Yeah,
did
it's
for
the
us,
bulk-
it was like filled with soap, right?
Well,
Ours were detergent, I
so-
think.
Well, yeah, that's the actual round, right? But
Yeah.
no, are you talking about like changing out the bolt in the M4 and then changing
Yeah,
out the slide on the 9? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we do that.
Oh, okay. That's
Ours
cool.
are ours were painted blue, different colors. Some people were like, "What's this for? I don't know what that's for." I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, just change this out. Trust me, like you'll be fine. The instructors are yelling at people, knife handing them.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, where's your blue bolt at? And they're like, it's not blue. I'm like, dude, I turn it over. I'm like, you freaking yeah. But that is that was fun. But what I was referring to is that like the paint rounds is what we would get. Like our rounds would be filled with like detergent, but I forgot about the bolt was the blue as well. So that was a lot of fun. I think that was my favorite time was doing the rounds and shooting.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so much fun, man. Tech school was a blast. But so let's get some questions from Gresham here.
Yeah, man. I don't think any interview with somebody that is in the military would be complete without a crazy boot camp story. You gotta have somebody at boot camp, that was just insane, or
Eating peanut
your
butter.
DI just lost their mind on all the time. Something.
We definitely had a couple of those.
Yeah, because your boot camp's 13, right? 13
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I was talking about boot camp to one of my buddies at work too. Has so many stories. Damn. I mean, to be honest, I never really got yelled at. The only time I do remember getting yelled at and murdered for was biting my nails.
Biting your nails?
So that is a habit I do. I
Yeah.
have. I
Yeah.
bite my nails, but they always reiterated like, hygiene, because
Sure.
I had buddies get pneumonia while they were in boot camp.
Yeah.
But he saw that from across the room, and he beelined right to me, and was just like, that's why you motherfuckers get sick,
The
and then
hygiene, grooming
yeah,
standards.
exactly. And I was
Yeah.
I think he forgot about me because for a couple hours I was running up and down the stairs. I'd have to go to each platoon on each deck and tell them why I was getting.
Every time you're going up and down?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
but I
sure
had
they
to
love
yell
that.
it. Oh yeah, I had to
Yeah,
yell
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you did that for a couple hours almost?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't remember, but like I said,
Too long.
that was the only time. But man, like I said, or like I say, I mean, just be a silent killer, keep your mouth shut, do what they say. You're not going to get yelled at, and that's pretty much what I did. So,
Oh yeah, man. Don't stick out.
no.
Don't wear a Marine shirt to first day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You think you're a Marine already?
Same thing in the Air Force, man.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, these kids would come in, like, because they're like 18, right?
Yeah.
I was the oldest one. And so you get these guys, the fresh ones, right? They come in and some guys got the collared shirts or just like the blue with the Air Force. And the same thing as Gresham was saying, like, you think you're in the Air Force? You think you're an airman? I'm like, oh, God, here we go.
No, yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
You're going to push Texas. Every time.
Yeah. We had a couple of sleepwalkers when I was at basic. And I guess it was the stress, but when at our basic, there's this thing called a day room. And it's kind of like where you congregate every once in a while, and the TI will just kind of tell you whatever you're going to do. But at night, that door is closed and it's alarmed. So if you go into it, because they kept like books and stuff like that in there, if you ever got any downtime. So if it's alarmed downstairs at CQ, they know you went in there, and everybody comes upstairs, But we had a kid that would sleepwalk and get out of bed and just go right to the day room, just be like, and walk in, just fully, dude. But it got to the point where like the TIs were like, just get on the intercom, and they're like, I don't remember this guy's name. They're like, is that Smith again? And we're like, yes, we're getting him. They're like, hurry the fuck up, So, but it's just so weird, man. I've never seen so many sleepwalkers in my life. It was really
CQ's
weird.
on point though, man. Like,
yeah.
dude, it's on the doors to the dorm. We had flaps, right? And you go to bed, you put that flap up, and man, the CQ was on their shit. Like, if you slide it over and even try to communicate to sister flight or like slide a note underneath or put it on the window, like, dude, they instantly saw it and you got wrecked immediately. It was, I couldn't believe it.
We did have a couple of bedwetters though.
Bedwetters? Oh, I don't think we had any of those.
Yeah, so
it's rough.
The shitty part, I mean, I don't blame them because you had to.
Busy?
It was busy. But you had to ask permission, even at night, to use the restroom.
Who's
the drill truckers? They were up 24/7.
No,
their own fire watch.
Oh shit!
So they would they'd always have their light on.
Different.
And if they see you pass by, you're getting hell. So you would have to knock and say, this recruit request permission to take a shit or whatever,
Just like
yeah. I'm not gonna mention any names, but yeah, he would pee his bed a lot. Yeah.
Did he get like knife hand for that too, or what?
Oh, he got shredded. Yeah. And then everyone be in their tighty whities or in the early morning. Yep. He'd be soaked.
Yeah.
Oh no, dude! Super young guy, 18 as well. Or?
Oh yeah.
Jeez, we had
dang man.
Got as soon as freaking lights out, dude. Instructors are gone unless they try to trick you and come back and check up on you, make sure you're in bed. But dude, you have people doing like EC monitoring.
We have
like,
fire watch. Yeah. But it's all trainees, man.
Yeah, it's just us.
Like
dude.
the TI is down in CQ, and he'll check in with the fire watch every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the dorm chief is asleep. It's just who
You
you
can't
and
believe they
God
had
out there
24-hour
standing
watch.
there.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Dude, that's I'm just gonna say, man, Air Force, Marines, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's pretty wild because I'm like, dang, they're there 24/7 on their own watch, and then like you have to ask them to go to the restroom. Woof, that's
Yeah.
rough, bro.
Yeah.
So boot camp story. So how did tech school go? How long was tech school? What was your first duty station? How if you can take us back, how'd that go?
Yeah. So I went in June, and then I think it was September. Got out, um, or I'm sorry, August, and then went to SOI School of Infantry. Um, that was for a couple months until November, I believe it was, because I got to my new unit around Thanksgiving. They were on a little 4-day weekend. So I didn't really meet the unit until, I got back from that little 4-dayer. Yeah, that's when you get into Fleet Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, yeah, that's when you become a real Marine.
Where were you stationed at?
Camp Pendleton.
Okay, so you like essentially never left California.
No.
Wow. How'd you like Camp Pendleton?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always that dispute against the East Coast Marines versus the West Coast. We got the hills, and the East Coast got the swamps.
Yeah.
So, that sucked. The
I've
hiking
heard
and
it.
all that, but
Yeah.
the weather's nice, and who doesn't love SoCal? Beaches.
Favorite spot. Favorite spot.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did it take until you got into your first deployment?
So went in, like I said, oh man. So November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, March. I was in.
So
I was in Iraq.
3-4 months later,
Yeah, I was in Iraq. Kuwait, actually. Yeah.
Kuwait. So you got to your new unit in November timeframe.
Yep.
And then something essentially came down the pipeline. Or like, hey, you guys are going.
Mm-hmm.
So like you joining and getting into it, like you knew that eventually you were going to go. Just obviously didn't know where.
Yeah, to be honest, I just didn't know in general like how it all worked.
Okay.
I just knew that it was a lot different than SOI. Where it's a lot lenient, not as bad as boot camp with the yelling. But, when you got to the Fleet Marine Corps, you got hazing and you got, senior Marines, you're a boot. So guess what? You're doing this and you're doing that.
Shit detail.
And yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's where I thrived, right? Because, like I said previously, trying to be the best. So out of the boots, I wanted to be the best, right? All the new guys, I wanted to be the best. So I looked up to a lot of my senior Marines. I didn't want to let them down. So I mean, I was studying knowledge. I was in the best shape of my life. Me and my roommate, we'd always be, just training, going over everything we learned. Yeah, and getting ready for where we were going to go.
So on your first deployment, were you a squad leader or anything? Like leading other Marines through training, or?
No, I was a lance corporal. I was a boot. I got promoted. So I got in boot camp. I was a PFC because I got someone to join the military.
Buddy system.
Buddy system.
Yeah.
So then when I was in Kuwait, that's when I got promoted in March. I got promoted to lance corporal.
So for us in the Air Force, we have a thing called below the zone, or what some people call below the desk.
Yeah.
So that is where you get promoted. You get promoted 6 months. I was lucky to get it. Well, it was nice. Yeah, it was. So for us, below the zone, you get promoted 6 months early. So do they have something like that in the Marine Corps?
No. So what I remember is pretty much you have everyone that's in your rank, right? That has a score, and there's
Is it a score?
I believe it is,
Okay.
or percentage. I don't remember too much of that, but I do remember you're going against other people, right?
Okay.
So you get points for your knowledge, physical, and then just pretty much being a badass and training and
Yeah.
someone noticing you, right?
Yeah.
So they'd have these, a scanner and a book, and you read it and you take the test and then you send it in. That's for your knowledge. And then of course physical, you got a 3 mile run, pull-ups and sit-ups. I think the total score you can get is 200 or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I was always, trying to get the highest PFT.
So what year did you first?
Say that again.
So yeah, you kind of skip.
Sorry, no. What year was your first deployment?
2004.
04. Got you. So, like the military at the time, right? Like we had just been getting into the Middle East again, right? So, did you have a lot of leaders around you that had seen, like maybe that had been a Desert Storm or maybe had any sort of combat experience, or you guys just kind of like learning from a book and instructors kind of thing? You know what I mean? Pretty
Yeah.
young. Like right now, it'd be pretty common to meet somebody in the
Yeah.
military who's had that experience. But dude, 04, that's really early, and actually getting into a lot of that. So what was that like for you guys?
So not a lot of the Marines that I remember had a lot of experience. They were just senior. They had more
Mhm.
years than us in.
Yeah.
So we got trained by a lot of international Marines or soldiers.
Okay.
I do remember there was Scottish. We got trained at one of the Air
Nice.
Force bases down south. Um, and they just have scenarios that they've run into.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd have people dressed up in
Top 4.
exactly. They'd be dressed up just like Iraqi civilians would be wearing.
Yep.
And they would just be talking to you and distracting you, and then they'd be like, "Oh, bam, this soldier's down. What are you gonna do?" Right. So that was a lot of fun too, to be honest.
Pretty cool.
But by the time I got to Iraq, I thought it was just another training ground. You know what I mean? Because we did 29 palms where it's really hot, so they get adjusted to the heat.
Sure.
And in Iraq, we did training there. We did some Arizona in the desert, the Mojave Desert. They got to do training there. So I felt like, of course, there's not a lot of time, right? I got in June, and then March, I'm already overseas.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, mentally I wasn't prepared, right? But I felt physically like I knew the
You could adapt and
strategies.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was ready, or at least I thought I was.
So
sure.
you get there. You said you got deployed to Kuwait in March of 2004.
Correct.
So at that time, how long were your guys' deployments? And then, and then caveat to that, how long are you there for? What are, run us through, I guess like, some missions, that you guys were doing, obviously outside the wire.
Mhm.
And for those of you that are watching or listening, we do have some photos that we are going to overlay for you guys as well, that we got from Kevin, and then so that you guys can kind of follow along with that stuff too. So you guys can kind of see what life was like for him, his surroundings, and everything that he was doing. So you get deployed to Kuwait 2004 March, and then take us through that deployment. Like, how long was it? What are some of the missions that you're doing? Just try to everything that you can essentially take us through. Remember.
Okay. So March, Kuwait, then we convoy into I think it was Baghdad, and then went straight into Ramadi.
For sure.
Yeah, it was. Didn't really know how bad. And back then in 04, there was not really a lot of armor for the Humvees.
Were you guys strictly ground units at that time, or did you guys was there any air support, or was it just
Yeah,
all ground?
strictly ground.
Okay.
I think it was just
Yeah,
too
no
hot.
cas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. and like you were saying, this is right after we took down, the first units in OIF 1 went in there, right? So we didn't really know too much. I think at that point Saddam was, on the run and all that garbage. But yep, from Ramadi to Kuwait to Ramadi, we take. I think there was an old Iraqi police headquarters that we stayed at. Just kind of had a chow hall, a front entry, and then a wall around it, and then a couple areas for sleeping quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So we slept there. That's when we started, reinforcing it, the sandbags, HESCO barriers, stuff like that. And then that's when we got our area of operation, right? Our company, Echo, we had it's kind of more of the farmlands, right by the Euphrates River.
Okay.
You had the farmlands, a lot of palm trees, and then you had the marketplace down there.
Was it kind of like I guess so. Like those, was it like little strips and like streets, or was it like a kind of like a smaller city over there?
So there was one road that followed along the Euphrates River, and then that kind of came down into a small market, which had houses around that. Yeah. But then, like I said, out of that area, it was all just farmland.
Dude, what an old place, man.
Yeah.
Cradle of civilization.
Exactly. But then you go towards the west, where Golf Company was in charge of, that also stayed at the combat outpost with us. That was the name of the place we were staying. They did that was like with the town, the actual city.
Okay.
So that's where the government center was, the mosques and all that stuff. So, they had a lot of building clearing, depending, compared to what we had to do. Yeah.
So when you were there in March, how long was your deployment for?
I think we got out of there in October.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact dates, but yeah.
So like 7 months.
Yeah, I think closer to 8, probably.
So, I'm just gonna kind of like read some facts off of this real quick, just because it's just hard for me to remember everything after, because there's so much information on you guys. So this one says in 2004, definitely. So I'm assuming this is around April timeframe, but 2004 said among the war's hardest fought, resulting in the death of 34 Marines and 1 sailor. So do you remember around that time frame, like what city it was at? Like, were you guys essentially like involved? Because they, like, where that was at, and they estimated that there was 250 fighters between just April 6th and April 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that April 6th time frame, there was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was like coordinated ambushes in the city. And then that's what resulted, unfortunately, in the 34 deaths of Marines. So if you can run us through that, like city-wise, where it was at, or if you remember the call coming in, or, where were you at that time frame?
Yeah. So I was the point man in our squad. So that's pretty much the front guy, right?
Is that like a breacher in that sense? The point man, you think?
It's the front guy.
The front guy, is that essentially like a breacher? Like, because you're essentially like that first one to it?
It could be.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what you're doing, man. If you're breaching the door, you might just breach it and move out of the way for somebody.
That's true. Right.
It depends on what you're talking about. But
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as a point man, I got a map.
Right.
And I pretty much set the route, the checkpoints, radio checks in, make sure, we're at the right location. And then I would make it different every time. And these guys, we're in their background or their backyard. So they're not dumb, right? They're watching us. So for that first month that we're there before April 6th, you got to think they take a couple pop shots or they blow off an IED. They watch what we do, right?
Mhm.
So April 6th, I do remember. I was point man, and we went out the front gate, headed towards the west side, and then I moved to the back of the. Pretty much came out the front, took a right, and just kind of followed the Euphrates River on a road.
Okay.
And then we're pretty much, when we're doing patrols, we're looking for anything, right? We're pretty much like the neighborhood police. We're trying to win hearts and minds, supposedly. But I remember not even 30 minutes into the patrol, I saw some wires coming out of some rubble, leading into a bush. Followed the wires, led to, of course, no one there, thank God. So then we called EOD, come out there, blow that up for us. That takes a while for the Army to get there. They were stationed a couple miles down the road. They ended up blowing that. So then we continued. And to the, I just remember to the right of me was a tank graveyard. And they called it that because it was old Soviet tanks that were pretty much destroyed, right? And they were just kind of 3 of them just kind of sitting there. And I do remember seeing people suspiciously around that area, kind of walking around. I remember talking to my lieutenant, because I had binocs, letting them know on the radio that we got some people over there. He said to keep going. Keep in mind, behind us, we do have, I believe there's a 4-man sniper group, and they are leapfrogging from tops to the buildings. Awesome. Just to keep us, overwatch over us.
Keep it sight.
So in a platoon, you got 14, 15 guys, and then you got one guy in a Humvee with a guy in the turret, behind us, watching our rear. So then we're going up the road, about a click, and then that's when we ran into another IED. And then that's when we got on the radio a call from the sniper unit that they're being attacked.
The sniper unit behind you was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're being attacked at the tank graveyard, of course, where I see those guys. So that's when the Humvee driver, David Quickglass, and the machine gunner pretty much said, hey, let's head back there, get some people to volunteer to go. I was one of them. I got in the front seat, and then I believe a corpsman and one other guy joined in the back, and then the rest of the platoon kind of stayed in the building, just kind of stayed
What was
there.
your thought process, knowing that you're going back, essentially not like visually understanding what you're going to get into, but knowing that you're obviously going to go back your brothers?
Yeah, I don't remember anything but the training going through my head,
Right.
And I'm still in training mode because to think I wasn't processing anything, because I'm like, this is kind of like the training we went through. I haven't gotten shot at yet, right? I've seen some explosions, but I haven't seen anyone get hurt or die yet.
Sure.
So I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is, they had IEDs in training, right? So I'm still thinking, this is just, we're shooting dummy rounds at other,
And how many
dummy rounds
times
at dummies.
in training revolutions you hear instructors say, you're going to fall back to your training, you'll fall back to your training.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's when I remember, we got in the Humvee, we started headed the other way. And then that's when all hell broke loose. I do remember vividly 4 guys running across the field, Iraqis, or what we called them Mujahideen back then, running towards the tanks, and they're out in the open, right? They got an RPK, RPG, and that's when I tell the driver, "Hey, stop, stop, stop," and then the machine gunner goes to start shooting at those motherfuckers. That's when I
The
got out.
240 or
240,
50
yep,
cal? Yeah.
correct. And like I said, there wasn't a lot of armor on those Humvees.
You guys still have the AT4s with you? Like, would you guys getting out with those or no?
No, I do. I used to carry one, but I did have it in the Humvee in the
Okay.
back. So the machine gunner, I remember him trying to shoot the guys running across the field, and I'm kind of, wondering why he's not. And that's when, excuse me, and that's when I saw that he was down. He got shot somewhere in between his flak jacket, and I remember seeing him kind of go blue, because he must have punctured a lung or something. So that's when the corpsman. I remember seeing the corpsman. He was trying to do everything he could for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there was much you could do for him. So the next guy got on the gunner, starts laying down rounds. By then, those guys are behind the tanks.
Why was that? Why were those tanks such a hot commodity right there? If there's only 3 of them, like, what was there buildings
cover?
around? Yeah, I mean,
There
Was it
was
just in the
there was a house or two
okay.
in the area.
Yeah,
But I don't. I mean, it's just perfect cover, right? It's steel. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, they had a lot of huge rust holes, so they were actually
Shooting out of it?
in the
Yeah.
tank.
That's perfect cover and concealment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's when the next gunner got on top. He got his hand shot. I do remember wrapping it. So while this is going on, you got one guy that's, pretty much KIA.
Sure.
And then the next guy, he's shot in the hand. Well, while the corpsman's trying to, help the guy, save his life, hopefully. That's what he was trying for. I was wrapping the guy that got shot in the hand, and that's when my buddy, Marcus Cherry, I remember saying, Gaeden, let's go get those motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
So he ends up taking off, and where the road is, it's kind of above. It's kind of ramped up,
Like a berm?
kind of like a berm,
Okay.
right? That's the word I'm looking for. So you kind of got to run down that,
Yep.
and then you're in a farm, farmland. So it's muddy. He's running, and then when I finished wrapping up his hand, the guy's hand that got shot, that's when I took off. I made it to the first tank and kind of hid behind that, and that's when my sergeant was, go get Marcus Cherry, which is my buddy.
Yeah.
He was kind of he was face down. It's still in my head. I'm processing. Get up, dude.
Like keep
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so he told me to go get him. Sort of made a sprint. I grabbed him by the back of the flak jacket and started to drag him. And then that's when I noticed, about a softball size hole in his head.
Damn.
Man.
And I think that's when I kind of, I don't remember too much after that. I do remember the guy that killed him was laying on the ground with the RPK, and he just got shot and killed by someone that flanked him, one of my Marine buddies. Because I could have been, chewed up, from that guy. But I do remember kind of just like in belief. That's when I was like, shit, this is real, right? But yeah, I just remember get behind the tank and just unloading rounds downrange. I didn't give a fuck. I was just kind of shooting. And then that's when on the radio, the platoon that we left, at the house down the road, they were getting attacked. So they actually had little kids tossing grenades at them.
It's just
They had to be so
savages,
frustrating
man.
having
Yeah.
to abide by ROEs against people that didn't, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't shoot unless shot at, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Then you've got kids doing
These
that
little
stuff.
kids throwing
Mhm.
grenades.
Yeah, exactly. And they utilize those kids as scouts, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because I've been on many patrols where the town would be quiet.
Too obvious.
Yeah, middle of the day.
Yeah.
When it should be people at the marketplace. People living their life to dead silence and just kids running around. Peeking
So were
around
there any like
corners.
indicators you guys knew and the populace that lived there that maybe like something was off? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. We had you had the few civilians that would warn us,
Mhm.
and tell
These
us
like
where they're
chirps,
at.
or are they just like randos?
Random. It could be
Mm-hmm.
random. It could just tell them the look in their face.
Yeah.
That or you can see just people scurrying into their homes. The mothers getting their kids and going in the house. But the main sign was that if no one was on the street, they're in the middle of the day. It's
Yeah.
like
Right.
even the highly populated marketplaces. If no one's there during the day, something's up. So
Right.
So do you guys ever, I'm sure it's happened. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but like where you kind of, you pay a local for information or, whatever the case may be, but then you have said local turn on you guys or turn on the unit. Like, was there any one of those where they were essentially like a double agent in that sense where you like, hey, here's some money. This is where we're going to be. Give us some info or here's some food, MREs, whatever the case may be, water for the kids or, whatever.
Mhm.
But then like those scouts or elders that you're paying, did they ever turn on you guys or other units that you kind of knew of?
I do remember we did have an interpreter that was working for
Both.
the bad guys. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he was threatened, like a lot of them are.
Yep.
But we also have very good interpreters that they wanted to make a change for their country.
Mhm.
But yeah, that like I said, I was just a boot. I was 18 years old. I didn't really know a lot. The interpreters were mainly with the CO or the radio guy. But yeah, they didn't really give a fuck, man. We would beat people up, just get info out.
How long were you out there for? Because it started April 6th. And then, so was it like a go home, kind of shit, shower, shave, get back out there kind of deal? Or were you, how was your guys' post?
So after April 6th, I think it was like a 12-hour firefight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had to call the army. I mean, they came out with tanks and Bradleys.
Big girls.
And the crazy thing about all of this, is I remember, the dead bodies of the Iraqis that were killed. After kind of regrouping with the platoons that were getting attacked, snipers, there was no trace of any enemy bodies.
Yeah, they take them.
Or rounds.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing happened. So we can't study on how they set up their locations, their ambushes. And sorry if I'm going back, but April 6th,
No.
while we're fighting, right, there's always a platoon that's on QRF, Quick Reaction Force,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they were so smart that, taking a pop shot out of us or, setting off an IED, our QRF would always go the same route, right? And they would know this. So for a month, they knew that we would go down the same route.
Telegraph it.
So
Damn, y'all didn't change it up.
there's, like I said, not a lot of.
Was there
in
like
our
one other
area
route to go, or
you can go the way we went,
Yeah.
but it was
Didn't make
like
sense
I said,
at
we
the
only
time.
had one Humvee, and it was a dirt road, and it was on a berm, and there was IEDs, so
yeah, it's true.
and we didn't have a lot of protection. in the Humvees. So, you know, QRF gets called, and that's where a lot of the Marines they got ambushed through the marketplace. I believe they had a Russian 50 cal on the end of the street, and when they turned that corner,
Yeah.
yeah, they lit them up. Guys on top of the buildings. Not much you can do. But a lot of yeah, a lot of my buddies died that day. Just on that, yeah, I think only a couple guys in that platoon that were in QRF survived out of 15 guys.
Yeah, it's I remember reading a little bit more up about it in from April 6th to April 10th. Um, you guys, the 2-4 company, you guys killed, I think it was 250 bad guys
Yeah.
in just that short time frame. And you know, I want to say, like, I believe, Gresham, what you said earlier is that it was like, you know, of course, you know, minus the casualties that happened, it was like the craziest like firefight that happened within like 4 or 5 days time frame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's I mean, it's a lot going on. 12-hour firefight, and then it went on for 4 or 5 days. And the fact that you guys, you know, killed 250 bad guys, and then bodies are taken back,
Mm-hmm.
everything is gone. I mean, it's just like, you know, that guerrilla warfare, you know.
Yeah,
It's just like you
Yeah.
said, that they knew what they were doing. They're smart, right? You can't, you know, it is what it is when you're fighting in that time frame. And you know, to kind of caveat off that as to like where the world is going now, you know, it's almost kind of like we were fighting like Beavis and Butthead, you know, in like that 20-year time frame, because going forward now it's going to be so much more tactical against, you know, China, you know, Russia, wherever wherever it's going to go.
Right.
It's not going to, I think it's not going to be that easy. I think it's going to be a little bit more tactical. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, back to back world champs, baby. You know, our guys have the experience. You know,
I agree
like
with you.
they
Yeah,
don't have the experience.
That I don't know if you guys use the term the Marine Corps, but MOUT, military operations in urban terrain. I mean, I agree with you that that is not going to be the primary fighting style if something like that were to happen. But you know, to go back, you said that these guys, did you guys call them Mujahideen, or is this something that they called themselves? And is that something that was like a throwback to the first Gulf War? These guys, like the freedom fighter aspect, that mindset that these guys had, because it's totally different than, you know, they're defending what they see as their home. It's you guys coming in, right? So I mean, is that something they call themselves, or is that something that you guys call them?
Yeah, I believe that's something that they pretty much called themselves. That was before, you know, the Taliban, you know, was well known around the, you know, the world.
Yeah.
You know, there's Mujahideen, then ISIS and all that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then, you know, going on from, I think after April 6th, that's when, we had to kind of regroup. We had a bunch of guys that were flown in replacements. Kind of had to regroup, and then, you know, 4 days later, that's when we're like, you know what, we're gonna go at 0400, and we're gonna start kicking down some fucking doors and get some, you know, some bad people. You know, that's where we found some caches. And that's when I got my first Purple Heart, was that day, April 10th. I remember that day, you know, we were kicking down doors. One of the pictures you'll see, I'm in a house, you know, watching the staircase while my, you know, CO is asking for information. And then later that day, when the sun's coming up, that's when, you know, all hell broke loose. You know, shots get fired. That was probably a lot scarier that day, because one, you know, I realized this ain't training, and two, you know, you're so close in all these homes Yeah, I mean, you got to be aware of where your buddies are at, where you're getting shot from, because a lot of the time these guys, they're not aiming, right? They're just kind of spraying and praying. And yeah, at one point we were separated, and it was myself and my squad leader, and just kind of trying to find everyone. And that's when I remember seeing my first, uh, face to face, someone getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was an Iraqi, Mujahideen. He pretty much, it was an 8-foot wall. We just got out of a house, making sure no bad guys were in there. Jumps the fence. All I remember is seeing an AK drop and then him drop. And then he kind of looks at us, looks at the gun. And then that's when my buddy just unleashed a magazine into him. And that was, I mean, you're talking 6 to 8 feet away from me. Dropped him. And then that's when we proceeded to link up with the rest of our platoon.
Keep moving.
I remember, like I said, there was a lot of palm trees in this area. A lot of people think Iraq is desert, but it's actually, it's got a lot of vegetation. It's got palm trees. And they were kind of just hunkered down behind these palm trees while, a bad guy on the roof was just kind of laying down rounds on him. And that's when I had my AT4 on my back. I remember getting in a position and them kind of just yelling at me. It kind of was in slow-mo, the way they were talking to me. Because they're like, Gaeden, he's up there. And I'm the only one that's not, undercover getting trapped by, rounds getting shot at me. So I pull the AT4 off, aiming at the building, click, right? So I got to recock, click. And in the training, if that does it 3 times, man, you got to break the sights and walk away because that thing's, no good.
Done, yeah.
So 3rd time, go to shoot, click.
Oh, no.
Shit, right? So that's when I actually saw the first guy, actually running across the street he had an RPK, and he was carrying rounds in his hand, and he's just running in the middle of the street. And that's when I remember with my ACOG scope taking 2 shots at him, hitting him in the back, kind of takes a knee. I think it's kind of funny because he takes a knee, kind of looks back, and then just keeps running. And I'm like,
okay,
that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, older gentleman,
damn,
great beard,
man.
and yeah, that's like I said, man. These guys, they blend in with the community because they're just an average clothes. They're not fighting someone in a uniform, right? Where I know that's the bad guy.
Sure.
So yeah, after that. That's when the army came. They had their tanks and they pretty much blew that building to smithereens. But how I got my Purple Heart that day was a grenade went off 4 feet from me, kind of blew me over a wall, and that's when I had shrapnel, I believe, in from my ankle to my knee in my right leg. I fell in a little covert that was muddy, and then I couldn't walk. I was limping, so they kind of said, "Hey, Gaeden, get in the back of the 7-ton, which is pretty much like a semi troop carrier."
Yes.
Yeah, and then I remember being taken back, to the medical tent or wherever that was, a kind of makeshift at our chow hall because we didn't really have all the updated stuff, that a normal base should have.
Right.
There's an old Iraqi police station, so ended up, of course, keeping all my limbs. I was just.
Was it easy fix? Do you think you were like, oh man, I'm gonna get freaking sent home?
I was out the next day.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
just back out there, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. So that was just kind of one of those. Here's some Motrin.
Yeah, keep pushing. So
Suck it up. You know what I
Change your
mean?
socks, hydrate.
Exactly. You'll be fine. But yeah, that was April 10th, and we lost a lot of. We lost, I think, 4 guys that day.
Damn.
I'm not 100% how many. Of course, I remember their names, but yeah.
So you said that day that you guys made the decision to go start kicking in doors and going after people, pretty much just going on the offensive. Um, is that kind of set a precedent for other people, other rotations, and they came through there? Just kind of the way you guys decided to get after it, or is that something that was already going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that was something that was going on. The army that was before us, they didn't really do a lot of patrols. They just kind of hunkered down and just kind of watched roadways. Um, they had a couple of operation posts. I mean, but they weren't doing daily patrols like we were doing.
Right.
Right. So but when I first got there, I was also one of the first I volunteered for a night patrol, just kind of learn the area. That was probably one of this. I mean, it was exciting and scary at the same time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's nighttime, got the night goggles on, and you're just patrolling the streets, and you just don't know what's going to happen.
How
But yeah,
many missions y'all do? Do you remember, like over 100 or?
to be honest, I don't remember.
Okay.
I just remember the big ones,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
There was a couple that we did that was just kind of move to contact, they called, right? So you would just patrol until you got contact, and then you would just kill the enemy. So I mean, it was no set time like from 8 to 3:30 is your work day.
Right.
It's just it's like you just patrol until you get shot at and kill those bastards.
The Mujahideen don't go home at 1700.
Exactly. But yeah, there's a couple of those where you start a mission and it's dead quiet and you're just waiting to get shot.
You just know it.
Yeah. So and the scariest part is just the ground you could be walking on is IED underneath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah, I had many positions while I was over there. I was a Humvee driver, I was a turret gunner, I was point man. Wherever they needed me, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I've been hit with IEDs while driving Humvee. I've been shot at while I've been on a turret. So yeah, I did a little bit of everything. So that's how I learned to drive my first vehicle in 2004.
You should have a forever driver's license after that one, man.
So at that time frame, April was a kind of very like excruciating month. Did it die down after that, leading to you getting out of the deployment, or did it kind of stay? I can't really say steady just because that was so significant, but was it kind of like up and down, or did it get a little bit more quiet? Because I know we'll get into this next, but I know that you got into another deployment later on. So, like after April, like how did that transpire into the rest of your deployment?
You had the occasional. It seemed like it was freaking clockwork, but every time the Moscow off, we'd be mortared, or you'd hear.
Now, was that in the morning or was that at night?
Probably night and day prayers.
Yeah, it just didn't. It didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It was so random, but at the same time, it wasn't because it always seemed like it was a Wednesday or a Sunday. I don't know why those days, but that's all I remember.
Wasn't it like one of those things? And see if you guys know. It was, I believe, it was like in the morning. They would essentially, I don't know if it was where you were at, but they would have like the prayer. You would hear it, and then after that, that's when the fighting broke out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's like so the call to prayer, right?
Call to prayer. That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay.
So you said you got mortared pretty often. You guys, obviously, you said you were at the old Iraqi police station. Did you guys have to worry about anybody like pacing you out, like and knowing exactly how to worry about direct hits, or is this all just like random indirect You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, it was mainly indirect,
Mhm.
but our base was in the middle of everything, and it's like when the army before us that didn't patrol the streets, and you see us every day coming out of the same area, they know where you're at, right? So,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, I've been when I was because each platoon, right? You got one platoon that's QRF, one platoon that's patrolling, and one resting, and then another one that's on post at the base. So one of the posts I was at was the front gate, so checking vehicles coming in. You had someone that cleaned the shitters um, for the porta potties.
Disability right there.
And then you have the chow guys or whoever, right? But yeah, I was letting in a guy to clean the shitters and give us water and all that. And he was telling me in Arabic that someone was watching him and threatening him. And minutes later, after searching his vehicle being cleared, that's when I heard from across the way, which was a university, was 2 RPGs shots towards that truck where I was at. Of course, didn't hit me or the truck driver.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean those guys, they were threatened. Anyone that helped the U.S.,
Of course.
they were murdered. Uh, but yeah, I mean, at one point, everyone was so scared that we didn't have guys to clean our porta potties for months. So just think how that is with 300 Marines shitting and
Nonstop.
MRE shit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
MRE shits and
These crackers
Yeah.
are backing me up.
and it's so yeah, exactly. It's so hot, so it stinks. It's
Yeah.
freaking hot.
It's like a 5-star resort, basically.
No, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Hey man.
So after that happened, so you had a break from 2004 to 2006, essentially, right?
Mhm.
After that deployment, before the next one. So what was going on in that break in time period, and then what like led up to your second deployment, and then where was that second deployment?
So when we got back from Iraq uh, to the States, that's when we took a month off. I think go home, see your families. Um, did more training, and then that's when we got the call that we're doing a deployment to Japan for jungle warfare training, just in case shit hit with Korea, and all that. So, yeah, did that. Went to Japan in 05, and then that's when I believe we were on ship on our way back when we were told that possibly going back to Iraq, um, and of course we did in 06. To, of course, Ramadi. So second tour to Ramadi. Same shithole I went in 2004. So I wasn't too excited about that.
Mm. Was it noticeably different place the second time around?
Yeah, second time going, a lot of the buildings were destroyed due to airstrikes. The Army has tanks, like I said. They would just pretty much blow anything up if they got shot from it, from a building. They would just blow it up, right? They didn't really do patrols. So, yeah, not a lot of people out. I mean, the only places they had that were kind of active was the marketplaces, like I said, but there was curfews. People weren't allowed out at a certain amount of time. So there was rules. But a lot of the streets were just kind of abandoned and not patrolled. So it's kind of like a ghost town, to be honest.
Right.
And it was, I don't know, it was just not a lot of life. It was just kind of like a ghost town. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It was eerie, right? You're just patrolling streets where no one's around. So every day, that first deployment, like I said, it was quiet. Shit was gonna happen. it was like this every day. The second deployment.
Were you there at the same time frame, essentially, like 7-8 months roughly?
That time we got this when George Bush, I believe, extended us for a couple months. So I think it was 9 months,
Okay.
maybe 10.
And was that deployment, you know, like how you're saying, essentially like a little bit more toned down than that first one, or was there still? It was obviously still kind of active, even though it was more dead, ghost town, like not a lot of people there.
Up and down with
Okay.
that one. There'd be months, maybe months, yeah, without
Oh
getting
wow.
shot at.
Damn,
I mean, the
seems a lot
first,
different.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
the
night and
first,
day.
I mean, the first patrol I went on was in a Humvee. We had a convoy, and we got ambushed. So that was a great welcoming back to Ramadi. RBGs,
From below.
small gunfire.
Mm-hmm.
That one was a lot harder, as in supplies. So we pretty much didn't have a base. We would just take down a large structure, pay the guy to get the hell out, and then we would reinforce it
Yeah.
and just stay there. So no, yeah, you didn't have running water. We had the shit and wag bags, which is pretty much a bag with cat litter in it, and just shit it,
Yep.
fold it up, and toss it. Yeah, and just MREs. Not a lot of hot chow.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was about it. A lot of snipers. I in 2006, yeah, a lot of snipers from the enemy. So a lot more of that. That was when they started getting really good.
I would say plenty of time for them essentially to kind of train up and figure out different ways to come at you guys or just in general. So
Yeah,
You said the increase in enemy snipers you guys had. Is that something maybe they learned from people that had worked with you guys the first time around and then had kind of gone back and taught that skill?
I'm not 100% on that. I just know that it was a lot more. I felt like a lot more cover in '06. Being that they probably established underground tunnels, which we ended up finding,
Dang.
and just pathways in between buildings, so they could take a pop shot and then just kind of, integrate into the public.
that El Chapo
How'd you guys
tunnel,
find
man.
those tunnels? How'd you guys find those tunnels?
In '04, I believe it was, like I said, when they would kind of remove the bodies that we killed.
That's how they were
Just
doing
blood trails. Blood trails. We would
Mhm.
follow blood trails. They had hidden rooms full of adrenaline needles and like makeshift, kind of ERs.
Mm-hmm.
So if the enemy's getting, hurt, you just shoot them up.
Keep going.
Yep, and just keep going. So, yeah, I think
Did you guys ever go
I
ahead?
think I think I just remember just seeing blood trails going down there. And of course, one of our operations, that's when we found them. Found out
Wait.
that they had underground tunnels.
Did you guys ever raiding those tunnels, see if they went back places? You know what I mean? Like where they
I
were coming
wasn't
from,
I
points
wasn't
of
part of
egress.
I wasn't part of the platoon that found it. Uh, that was just something that we were told. But yeah, I have not been. I didn't search any of those tunnels.
So
I
your
didn't even know
overall,
that
like,
that was a thing.
yeah. So like, overall, like how you're saying boot camp, tech school, first base, and it was like kind of, it seemed like training, and then it got surreal. Um, just like in a nutshell, per se, like your overall experience going through both of those deployments and going there, coming back. And did you go to anywhere else besides Ramadi?
Yes, when we got extended, that's when we went to Arupa, which
Okay.
is it's a small town, and it was kind of the supply stop to go into Ramadi or
Okay.
Fallujah. Um, So that was our job.
Was Fallujah? I mean, Fallujah was chaotic. Everybody knows about that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Ramadi, Fallujah, just shitholes, like the
Right.
worst of the worst. So, how long were you guys in Fallujah for, or
Yeah, we never went to Fallujah, so we did Ramadi.
Okay.
Like I said, I believe 7 months, maybe six to 7 months, and then we went to Aruba. Was a couple hour drive, um, and that was our platoon. We did a convoy there, and just kind of hunkered down in a 2-story building,
Right.
sandbags, did the whole nine, and that was our OP. You know what I mean?
And then this right here, um, we'll take pictures of these for you guys, and we'll kind of overlay them as well. These are extra pictures that, if you want to go through, and kind of give like a quick synopsis on, where you're at, what you're doing, who you're with, and that such right there. So these are just extra pictures that his
They didn't
sister
make it on
had.
social media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of these I haven't seen until my sister showed me recently. But the first one, like I said, you have a platoon patrolling, you got a platoon on QOF, one sleeping, and then this is one of the um, I guess posts that overlooked uh, the outside of the base, to make sure no one's sneaking, trying to climb the wall, or about the mortar us. So yeah, that's me in the post. I don't know who I was with, but yeah, that's pretty much it's pretty much like an 8x8 little square that they made out of wood and sandbags, plywood, and you just kind of pretty much just watch.
You see any action while you're there, or anything?
Not not action, but you would see, like I said, a lot of the kids. They'd be walking. They'd have walkie talkies. Um, they're scouts, right? So they're looking to see how
Could you guys do anything about that? Just this kid is got a walkie-talkie, he's reporting whatever,
Yeah. I I didn't do anything. I remember, screaming them in Arabic, something to get the hell away. But yeah, there was nothing. We can't shoot someone for having a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is also I don't know if it's this day or another picture, but there's a picture of me on a post where I received my second Purple Heart. We had a commandant, I believe, visiting, so that was a perfect time to attack. So in the distance, you can hear a mortar, at least a thumping noise, kind of like once it goes in, the tube, you hear the thump. I can hear that in the distance. And I believe I heard 4. So I get in the radio, pretty much tell them incoming, start yelling at everyone, on the ground, find cover. I hear 4 hit, boom, 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 right? And then that's when, I wanted to make sure everything was clear, so I went out of the post area, right, where all the cover and protection is.
Yeah.
And we're on top of this. I think it was 2 stories. Little hut with the interpreters below us, and that's when the 5th hit. It was about, again, 8 feet from me probably. I remember waking up to feeling very wet and seeing blood all over me. And my buddy Brandon Lunn was on top of me, saying, "Gaeden, are you okay?" I can hear on the radio in the earpiece, Gaeden and Lunn are dead. Oh shit, because all they see is a cloud thing of smoke, right, or dust. And we find out later we were hit with a 155 round, which is an artillery round. So it's a big bad boy. Yeah, blood, water, or moist. So I think I can't feel my legs. I start freaking out. I'm seeing blood. I'm feeling the back of my shirt. And it's blood and it's wet. And then I noticed that Brandon Lund's arm is sliced, and it was actually his blood bleeding on me, and the wetness on my back was actually from my canteens. It was actually my water. And the reason why I couldn't feel my legs is because the roof was all tile. So when it blew up, tiles, shot everywhere,
Right.
metal, and it pretty much hit me so hard, the tile, that it gave me dead leg.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't feel my legs because of that. So, yeah, Lund was the one that got it the worst. They both carried us down the ladder, and then threw us in the operating room. I remember them opening up my my uniform, and looking everywhere, and I'm like, man, I don't think I'm hurt. I'm fine, and thank God that.
Yeah, exactly, man. 8 feet from it.
Exactly.
It's wild.
The crazy part of that story is, in this picture, I don't have my canteens on, and they sit on the back.
Right.
Of and I don't have the picture on here, but I'll have to find it. There's a picture of my canteens after, and there's about a hole in each one of them, the size of maybe 5 inches, where it makes no sense, because it's a piece of shrapnel like this go through a plastic canteen and then kind of somehow veer away from my body. So that's
how like divine intervention almost, man.
Yes,
100%.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
Okay.
So that was yes. Second picture, it's me and that's Brandon Lund right there. That's my boy.
That's the guys at the end of the post.
So this guy had his 21st birthday in Iraq, right? I'm gonna go back to April. I think it was April 6th or April 10th. I'm sorry, Brandon, if I get this wrong. But he was shot on his 21st birthday.
Oh,
and then ended up coming back and then getting blown up on post with me. So he's
magnets.
He's a trooper. I'm sure he loves his birthdays. Next one, like I said, did many jobs while I was over there, and this is me. And kind of see the palm trees. That's the farmland. I think to the left of me is the cemetery. So behind the cemetery was a lake. Yeah, and we had a post. It was a Humvee and a gunner, and a couple guys, and you just pretty much watch a road, so you didn't see guys planting IEDs throughout the night. And then we ended up upgrading to these. In the next picture is a kind of like a concrete square, just kind of placed there. Put some camo netting over it, and you watch that same road. It's the main supply route for not just us but the Army, just to make sure that there was no IEDs planted. We would get pop shots all the time at us, RPGs. Yeah, we would just sit there for hours, and then someone would come and replace us, and then head back. A lot of these pictures are me being goofy in the on post.
How old are you right there?
That's 18.
18 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll post a few of these for you guys. just because, like, you know,
Look 'em
just
up.
like just like Gresham said, like, you know, these are ones that we didn't air because we didn't have them at the time. So we or my wife found them. So yeah, we'll post up some of these here for you guys to see, and then I will send some over to you, Gresham. That way we can post them and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some of it's from the time in SOI, School of Infantry, doing some training. The 203, had a couple
Cheetah
buddies
rounds.
there. Yeah,
Where's that one at right here? This top one, is that training?
yeah. So that's Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
SOI, that's the AT4 training. I got my buddy Pete Flom. He's the guy I went to boot camp with. SOI. He was actually in golf company. I was in Echo.
So I think so too. I was also looking up the history on you guys as well across. I think there's like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's like maybe 4 active companies now. There's only like 3 or 4, and then just in total of you guys, there's only 1,100 of y'all. So I mean, I guess like the way I was looking at it is like kind of like a small tight knit group. There's only so many of you guys, and the fact that you know you guys are you know such a famous group of what happened and what went down um, is it was just so crucial and it's just a lot and so like my follow-up question to that, I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, but is that would you do it all over again?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, the brothers I've fought next to, I would die for.
Yeah.
So you got the people that you grew together at such a young age, going through something, traumatic that we will never forget. So I hope they know that I'm always there for them, and I always know they're going to be there for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want anyone else to go through what I did.
Right.
So I would want to do it for them, and I'd do it 100 times.
Yeah.
Just for my love for the country and the people I love, so they can live, a good life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd fucking do it again.
Oh yeah. You got any other questions, Gresham?
Honestly, brother, I really just appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and hearing your story. Um, it's incredible. Everything, I like Chris. I mean, I read a lot about that time that your unit spent there, but it doesn't compare to listening to somebody that actually, was there. What I read on,
It felt like a movie,
yeah,
dude. Like, I'm serious. Like,
yeah,
from start to finish, I like
yeah,
just like listening to you talk. I'm like looking out and I'm like just like envisioning like just the scenarios, everything you're going through, and as detailed as possible as you can be. And it's just like, it's like, damn, like that. It's just so wild to uh, meet somebody, know somebody that has gone through, you know, only 1% of people ever choose to do when you sign that dotted line, and it's, I mean, dude, just a true war hero. It takes in my opinion, it takes a special kind of somebody to go through that, and and here you are. So, how many years did you do?
I did 4 years.
4 years.
03 to 07.
Okay, so then after that, and got out, and of course, um, you're here now, and so what
and
are like the future plans? Okay, you go. You have a question?
I was just to say, you said 03 to 07, and
Yeah,
one of the statistics that I was reading online said from 04 to 07 that the 24, like in general, because like you said, there's Echo Fox golf companies. I don't know if you had hotel company maybe at that time, because I know I read online it said it was a deactivated company, but
yeah,
20% of that unit was either KIA or injured during that time period. So like you were there, like the most intense part of that. You know what I mean? Like That's wild, man. And my
Yeah.
hat's off to you, literally. You know,
So
like for real. It's
Appreciate it.
I mean, so this is my first time, and obviously Gresham's first time, but I've always been that person where I don't really like ask people like, oh, like what happened, or what this is like. Hey, I know you've been there. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But like hearing like your story from start to finish, um, it's like Gresham said, it's wild, it's crazy, it's nice to be able to get like that knowledge from you and understand like what you went through and you're here now. So, yeah, man, uh, appreciate your service. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So, kind of like jumping forward a little bit, what are like, what are you doing now? Like, what are your future plans? Even though we know one of them, right? We know one of them.
This guy.
Yeah. So, like,
Dude.
what's the future hold for Kevin?
Well, right now I just got told that my girlfriend is pregnant, so I'll be having my first kid.
man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
So that was very emotional. Yeah, and then of course, talking about all this. Yeah, so it's been one hell of a birthday week and birthday month.
It's been a while,
Right,
dude.
yeah.
I just turned 38. And then I get popped with this. We're having a kid, so I'm very excited.
That's amazing.
I'm very happy.
Yeah. Would you ever want boy or girl? But like I said, Christina and I are leaning more towards a boy. That's natural.
Yeah.
Is it ever something that you would ever want your boy to do something like this? Join, follow your footsteps, or don't what would you like honestly like see in that? Because some people are like, oh, just whatever they want to do, but it's like, what do you like? Now that you got hit with it, might be too early of a question, but
Yeah.
what would you want him to do something like that, or her? Anybody get upset?
Yeah. To be honest, of course, I'm not going to be cliche. Of course, I want my kid to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
I want to be that role model that I needed and I had when I was a kid. So
Damn right.
definitely going to be there. And military is a great way to have discipline, and order, and
Good backbone.
just exactly. And I think in some countries that's their only job, and you have to do service,
Mhm.
right? You have to do 2 to 4 years, like in the Philippines.
Right.
I mean, I think everyone should go through it. It's a
Thank
great
you for
experience.
saying that,
You
'cause-
get
oh
to
my
travel. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, military's dime essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Taxpayers, whatever you want to look at it. But I completely agree with what you just said.
Yeah. Plus, the women love a men in uniform. So.
That is a perk.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great. It's a great background for anything, right? Even if you're,
So
not
much
doing
reading.
anything in law enforcement or anything, but you can always convert what I learned into, helping people. I can't just put on my resume that, I used to, go to war and all this, and I know how to shoot a gun, right? That doesn't transfer into the civilian world. So leadership, communication, I'm dependable, loyal, all the things that, military guys have, and women. I just think it's something that everyone should have. And that's something I would
couldn't
want
agree
my
more.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So got a baby on the way. What are your plans? You gonna stay here in California? Like, what's
Yeah, definitely California.
Yep.
I got a good job. And now just kind of have to get a bigger house.
Yep.
Got some additions.
upgrade,
So I got to upgrade to
Yeah.
something bigger. Uh, and just make sure I provide for them.
Yeah.
For my girlfriend and for my kid. That's my goal now. So I got that's my next mission.
There we go. See, everything is always a mission. It's always a task and something to complete. Is there anything else you kind of want to like wrap up with, Gresham, or?
Aside from just saying again, thank you. I think that's outstanding that you want to be the person that you needed when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And there's not enough people that kind of realize that, and wanting to be a good parent, that's just as big crucial part of our society is having parents and strong family units. So that's good for you, man.
And your guys' motto, man, second to none. That sticks, and
Mhm.
that's once a Marine, always a Marine, right?
Exactly.
So that's exactly what you're gonna do. So I guess last question, if that's okay with you, Gresham.
Absolutely, yeah.
Christina actually had this question. I think it's a great question. I was trying to find it and I didn't number it like an idiot, but I have it right here. So, to touch base on what I just said, the phrase "once a Marine, always a Marine." Um, what does that mean to you, and why does it hold so much value?
Well, just like our motto, right? The few, the proud. It's the toughest. They say, we have the longest boot camp.
I think it's the toughest. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, I agree,
who
100%.
hasn't
They're
watched?
certainly not the Air Force, man. That's for sure.
Yeah. Who hasn't? I mean, who hasn't watched boot camps from all branches?
Right.
The two that I have seen, for me personally, someone else is going to have a different view on this, but the two that I have seen that have stuck out to be the hardest, in my opinion, is the Marines, and from what I have seen, the Coast Guard at that time.
Mhm.
It was didn't compare to the Air Force, and not the Army either, and the Navy. I've seen it. Navy is not bad, but definitely the Marines. You guys go towards the end is the Crucible, right? Yeah. So,
I think
yeah,
anybody would agree that when you think about toughest military branch in the United States military, even being stationed overseas and talking to Germans and Italians, Norwegians, the Marine Corps, even they know, like, just being real, like the Marine Corps sets the tone.
every time.
So
Yeah. So, like, how does that hold value, and like, what does that mean to you?
Well, it's pride. Once you have that Eagle Globe anchor in your hand, it's for life.
How did you feel when you got that? Not to
Uh,
rat it home, but
I mean, I'm sure I shed a couple tears. I mean, but right after the Crucible, you do the famous hike up one of the biggest hills in Camp Pendleton. And once you make that top, that's when you get your Globe anchor.
that's awesome.
And they put it on you. So you got tears, blood, and you earned it.
Yeah.
So that feeling, I think, transfers into, you're always a Marine because you earned it. Not, and like I said, the few, the proud, not many can say they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just something that you're gonna have to you live for forever. I mean,
it's the experience to never forget.
Exactly. And I'm so proud.
Do you still have that?
should be.
The Globe anchor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's something that yeah. I mean, I still have all my uniforms. Of course, don't fit in them, but but yeah,
it's because you got more muscles now.
That's right. Yeah, you tried.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's once a Marine, always a Marine, man. It's just pride, man. Just proud. I don't know. I just can't explain it. It's
Right.
just, you're the best of the best.
So,
No doubt.
I just, brain is flowing here. So before we, wrap this up,
I forgot we do have the listener question. I forgot about that.
Okay, so I'll do this last of the last question, just because I want to hear some more, like just like something like insightful for somebody, right? And then we'll go to you. So, what would you? I know times are different, right, between then and now, as far as people going into the military. But for someone that is interested in, whether it's joining any branch or specifically the Marines, what is something that sticks out for you that is like some words of wisdom for that individual or individuals that are even like thinking about it or not too sure, or they want to go to the Marines? Like, what is just military in general? Like, what is like some insightful things wisdom wise that you can give that person that is just needing a little extra step of motivation?
It's funny you say this because we just got an employee that wants to be, join the company I work for. He got out of the Marines during boot camp because he hurt himself, so he has a chance to recover from that and go back in. So
Did they give him like a 2-year deal, or like you have like 2 years to come back?
I think he said 6 to 8 months to actually say,
Okay.
hey, I want to go back in.
Okay.
You can go back in. And I pretty much told him, it's going to be an experience you'll never forget. All right. You're going to meet the people that are going to stay with you forever.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you do want to go to school, college, that's paid for. Right.
It's a good incentive.
Yeah. I mean,
It really is.
You're going to travel to places you'll never travel again. It's just going to be an experience that, plus, no one's ever done it. I mean, not a lot of people have done it.
Yeah, 1%.
So why not be part of that percentage, right? Yeah. Why be average? Why be the normal, 8 to 5 guy? They go home and then, live their life just doing the same shit when you can be that guy that like, yeah, I went to Iraq twice.
Made a difference.
Did 4 years in Marines.
Yeah.
Or any military branch. It's just something that, why not?
Yeah.
Why not, man?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Gresham.
Yeah. So on one of the posts, I asked if anybody that's listened had a question for you, and a buddy of mine, Miles Lawler, he had 2 questions. But one of them I think really would stick with you, or let's just stick with you, but you'd have a lot of good insight on. And is if you could go back and tell young Kevin any piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Thank you for that question, by the way.
Yeah. Wow. Young Kevin. Don't give up. I mean, like I said, being bullied and going through what I seen and went through as a kid. Just do you, man. Just keep on trucking. You got some good times ahead of you.
That's
good question.
That's a great question,
Yeah,
man. I mean, I don't know how to.
Yeah, that's a thinker, dude. Especially after 2 hours of talking about everything, He hit you with that one,
You should have done it in the beginning, damn.
Probably, yeah. Next time. No,
I think my
noted.
sister's question about, what is a woman?
Got an icebreaker, right?
Jesus
Definitely the
Christ.
hardest question that you've been asked for
He's
sure.
played the fit.
Yeah, I appreciate the
dude.
question, though, man.
Safe,
I hope
safe
I
route.
answered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, and
right.
thank you, Miles, for asking.
Yes. Great question, by the way. Was that the second part of that question, right? Or the?
Yeah, no, we'll keep. I think that's good.
Okay. Yeah. No, just making sure we cover all bases. So once again, like truly, like thank you for wanting to come on here and just be so open about it and essentially be vulnerable in telling your story from start to current, right? You're still going, you're still pushing. Once a Marine, always a Marine. You have that mentality, that discipline, that dedication, and that carries into where you are right now. And really, the way you look at it, or at least I look at it, is that's made you successful to where you're at now, what you have, what you're gonna have, and now like being a father is like the next step. That's the next mission, right? Bigger house, you have a family now, or family. Sky's the limit. Now you get to pass on everything that you've done on to little man or little girl.
Adventure, man.
Yeah, exactly. So
seeing your little kid do all the things that they're gonna do.
Biggest thing. So we thank you guys for tuning in, listening, watching, wherever you're at, whatever social media platform you got us on. Again, I'm going to plug Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Facebook. There we go. So
Facebook twice.
I said Facebook twice? I suck,
It's okay.
dude.
All right, man.
Anyways, we're across the platforms, right? So just make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. And just like Miles did, drop a comment in there for when we do have guests or for when we do have topics and discussions. We'll go through it. We'll
We
go
want to
over
hear
it.
from you.
Yeah, we definitely do. And we try our best to respond to comments. I feel like we're doing a pretty good job right now. So this was a fantastic episode 2. And yeah, just
100%.
Stay tuned, and it's going to be a great ride. We appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. And again, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kevin.
My pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate that. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.